has to start at intention. That's not the action yet, but the starting point before the hands move out towards another. The deep intention.
Being aware of the breath connects us with spirit and brings us into the eternal present moment. The breath is what we share with all living beings. For example, what we breathe out, carbon dioxide, the trees breathe in. And what trees breathe out, oxygen, is what we breathe in. What makes Sacred Touch Yoga unique is that we breathe with one another. This brings us into direct contact with what we share at the deepest level, which is beingness itself.
Folks, let's take a deep breath. And I'm going to invite you to join hands with your partner for a moment. Just be present with them. We talked about presence earlier. Breathe with them. If you're comfortable making eye contact, do that. And be aware of their breathing and your breathing.
Being present in Sacred Touch Yoga is an easy way for both the giver and receiver to bring the busy, wandering mind back to the present moment. That's what makes it a form of yoga, a meditation.
When I was starting this work, I was very conscious of technique and, you know, am I doing this right or that right? And I quickly learned that it really doesn't matter as long as I'm present. And all I have to be is be there, and the energy just flows through me. And it's the best meditation. And, you know, for some people who I'm explaining, they say, well, you know, what do you get out of this stuff? And I think, oh, wow. Because meditation is hard for me just to sit in a chair and meditate. But, you know, I can be active in giving touch and giving a massage and just get to the deepest place. And without having to just sit there and meditate. So it's very powerful. So I say that to people, you know, just be present and pretend you're just, you know, whatever your form of meditation is, and then it'll just flow. Whatever comes out will happen.
I was going to say something similar, that just once you move with intention initially, the rest almost happens automatically to a degree, right? And I had never done it before, and before I knew it, I was moving with purpose and with you know, intention, and I knew it felt like I knew what I was doing, and it was amazing, and it just happened just from two people interacting, you know. It happens naturally once you make that first step, right? It just continues on its own accord. It's amazing.
In Sacred Touch Yoga, we mostly communicate with our first language, which is touch. We minimize words. This helps quiet our verbal mind, which operates much like a computer. It separates everything into opposites like day and night, black and white, good and bad, like and dislike, us and them. This is useful up to a point, and also creates painful feelings of being separate from others. By focusing on our first language of touch, and by being aware of one another's breathing, we shift into our heart's intelligence, which understands our connection with others and with all of life. The nurturing quality of sacred touch not only can relieve tension and relieve stress, sometimes the energy that is released comes out as tears or laughter. Both are totally welcome. This is a safe space to release them. When emotions do come up, simply be present with yourself and the other person by deeply breathing and releasing sounds that express the emotion. Sacred touch yoga addresses an even deeper human need than sex, the need to feel cared for and to express caring through nurturing touch. By intending to focus on non-sexual touch, we can comfortably share touch with many more people of all ages and genders, and thereby widen our circle of care. Sexual feelings are not bad or wrong. They are our aliveness in concentrated form. As with the emotions, we can breathe deeply to welcome the energy and let out sounds which allow the energy to flow into our whole body for a feeling of calm vitality. If we are feeling sexual attraction, one way to shift into the caring heart is to imagine that person as either an infant or as very old and in need of nurturing touch.
I often have friends that ask me, what if you're doing, when I'm going to workshops or doing massage, and they say, what if you're not attracted to the person who you're working with, or even repulsed by them? And, you know, my first workshop, it just, and I say to my friends, I say, it just wasn't an issue. And it goes to what you were saying, that it's not about the body, it's not about sex, it's the essence of the person, and that's what you feel. And that was very profound for me.
Once we feel really comfortable giving and receiving this non-sexual sacred touch, we can use these same principles with a lover, partner, or spouse. Our greater touch fluency and confidence makes us a more relaxed and playful and creative lover. Our lovemaking can become more sacred, a dance, a meditation, or a worship of the divine. One thing that makes sacred touch a form of yoga is that we address and honor the whole person by being aware of both the physical body and the energy body.
For me, I find that it really helps that I'm consciously dropping into my body, that I'm present, and then I soften my energy a little bit, because sometimes it's like, you know, that's kind of a really tactile. So it's like I kind of soften, and my hands become, it's like they become activated or conscious, and there's I can feel them almost like vibrating and pulsing, so that I'm really cognizant of when I'm coming in to someone's energy field and like really connecting on almost like on a cellular level, where it feels like my cells are connecting with your cells, and my energy is connecting with your energy, and it's a very different way of touching versus just the tactile.
I definitely could feel the difference.
I keep reminding myself to go slower when I'm sharing touch, and even to just stop and be present without doing anything. So, and I notice consistently that the slower I go, or even just stop and be present with not any doing whatsoever, seems to take the person I'm touching to a deeper place. I can just tell by their breathing, suddenly they'll go, ah. So the less I do, the less I do in terms of action, the more effect it seems to have, which is quite, that's been quite a learning for me. It's like, I just have to get out of the way and be present, as you were saying earlier.
I have to agree with that. You taught me that really clearly. I don't think I would have believed that slower and slower and slower could be more effective. I had to experience it. You know, if I weren't the one receiving and having that experience, I would have put that truth out of my mind and thought that can't possibly be how it could be experienced. It was really powerful. Yeah. I want to rush things too. When I'm, you know, when it's my hands doing the work, I think, you know, faster, harder is better. But yeah, it was a really good learning.
One of the things my teacher talks about is the slower we go, the more subtlety, the more subtle the more subtlety we can sense. And I find that to be so true, and just how much more, just how much more I can actually tune in by going slower.
Less is more. When sharing sacred touch, do fewer techniques with more presence, rather than trying to do many things in a hurried and distracted way. Make it a slow and gentle, trance-like dance. A fellow massage professional who is also an amateur actor on stage compared massage with entrances and exits to a scene on stage, saying that the way the actor enters and exits makes or breaks the scene, and that is also true with healing touch, that we have to make our entrance very gently and slowly and hover above the skin, allowing the person to feel our warmth and energy before we actually touch the skin. And then when it's time to end the touch session, to depart with equal grace, floating just above the skin briefly for perhaps several seconds, breathing with them, letting them feel the subtle shifts from skin to skin to just energy until you gracefully float away. Once you have begun to touch, keep both hands in contact with the other person until you slowly end the session. If you need to reach for oil, lotion, or a towel, keep one hand in contact. And if contact must be broken, be slow and mindful in leaving, and again, gentle and gradual as you return to touching. In Sacred Touch Yoga, we can discover the delight of letting go of constantly doing. We begin and end our touch session in stillness, simply holding our hands on the area of the person's body they wish to have touched. Then, during the active part of our touch, we can allow short interludes of stillness, during which we stay in contact and simply breathe with the person, which will take you and them, both giver and receiver, into a deeper place of simply being, connected, in presence. That's the very essence of yoga.